Hey everyone, I know it's been a little while, but I'm back with another wrestling related video. So first off, full disclaimer, I'm an AEW fan. You could probably call me an AEW mark, whatever you want to call me, but AEW is currently my favorite wrestling promotion in the world. To clarify that, I love New Japan. I think New Japan puts on the best pure wrestling in the world, but just because of the time difference, I'm not able to commit to watching New Japan as much as I would definitely like, just because I need sleep, and I am someone who prefers watching shows when I don't know what's going to happen, and that's just harder with, social media and that sort of stuff. So just based on everything, AEW is my favorite company. I've seen a lot of criticism lately with All Elite Wrestling, and I do think some of it is warranted, but also I think they are given a little more of a hard time than maybe they should be. In this video, I'm going to talk about why I think AEW is doing the best job any American wrestling promotion during the pandemic. Reason why I'm specifically talking about American wrestling promotions is I don't know enough about Japanese or other countries' wrestling promotions to talk about that, and America is doing the worst out of any country with the pandemic, so I just wanted to focus in on America with what they have been doing during the pandemic. First of all, AEW has brought in some significant stars since the pandemic has started. Off the top of my head, they have brought in people like Matt Hardy, Brody Lee, Lance Archer, Brian Cage, Ricky Starks. It's been excellent. I know a lot of people have criticized AEW's booking on their big guys, like Brody Lee, Brian Cage, and Lance Archer. You gotta remember one thing. AEW's not WWE. And what I mean by that is they're trying to do things different. Not every wrestler can come in and completely dominate. And yes, none of those three have completely dominated, but they all have made their mark. AEW has definitely been known for being a smaller wrestling promotion in terms of size. But I think people like Lance Archer have really gotten to the point where they have shown what big men can do in All Elite Wrestling. Lance Archer personally has become one of my favorite wrestlers, and I wouldn't be surprised if he challenges for the AEW title within the near future. A big criticism that I've seen of AEW is the booking of Cody Rhodes. Cody is currently the TNT champion, and I personally wasn't a fan of him being in the tournament in the first place, especially beating Lance Archer. I thought he's just too big of a person to be the holder of your mid-card title, even if the mid-card title isn't exactly what they're going with the TNT championship. That's kind of de facto what it is, unless they're trying to have two world championships, which, if that's the case, why? But anyways, they've done a really good job with the TNT title as of late. I've seen so much commentary on Twitter saying that Cody is burying the talent in the Open Challenge. What do you mean by burying? Do you mean he's beating them? Yes. But beating them doesn't mean he's burying them. Let's look, for instance, with the WWE. WWE people like Cedric Alexander have been buried. They have lost matches quickly with the deliberate intent of making them feel lesser than. But that's not the case with AEW. First off, they have been bringing in talent that have not been signed by AEW. And they have been giving them very good matches with a lot of offense. Let's take, for instance, the match last week with Eddie Kingston. They gave him a shit ton of offense in. They gave him a specialty match stipulation with the no DQ match. And they have allowed these people to make a name of themselves and prove why they should be signed full-time by AEW. Not every person can win their match against the champion. Otherwise, it would just go back to WCW in the days when they just kept flip-flopping their world title. That's just not realistic. I knew very little about Eddie Kingston before he wrestled against Cody. I'd seen him at an independent show win a Battle Royal, but I really didn't know much about him other than he was a guy you should be scared of. But that match against Cody made him a lot bigger than I previously had him in my mind. That's not a burial, that's an elevation. And the purpose of the TNT Open Challenge is so that eventually when Cody does get beaten, it's gonna feel like a fucking big deal. Currently, it looks like it's probably gonna be someone like MJF who's gonna beat him. But what if it's not? What if on Wednesday Warhorse beats him? I don't think that's gonna happen, but what if it happens? It's gonna be fucking huge. I don't think there has been one person who has had their value lowered by losing to Cody. The only person I could see where you could make a case that they've been lowered by losing to Cody is Lance Archer in the first match for the TNT Championship. But they've still tried to build him up since then. So I don't think it's been as bad as it could have been. Now let's go to their tag team division. AEW has the best tag team division in the fucking world, and you can't convince me otherwise. I used to hate tag team wrestling because I only watched WWE, but then I found people like the Young Bucks, and tag team wrestling is fucking awesome. I know there have been a lot of criticisms based on their following of normal tag team rules, but they've tried to go around that. They've made tornado tag rules. They've made falls count anywhere rules. And you know what? It's worked. The Young Bucks have really started to come into their own. I thought they were underperforming for a while, but now they are there. They are excellent. And every tag team in the division has made sense. Even thrown together tag teams like Kenny Omega and Adam Page. I would love to see them drop their titles soon, but you can't deny how much chemistry that they have developed between the two of them, and they have made really good tag team champions. Their tag team division is stacked, which is why people aren't 100% sure who's going to take the titles off of Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. It could be the Young Bucks. It could be FTR. It could be Butcher and the Blade. It could be Brandy Rhodes and Alley. Probably not. But anyways, it could be anyone. And, you know, that's what I enjoy. I enjoy in wrestling not necessarily knowing what's going to happen. It's nice being at the point where you're watching a match and you're not exactly sure who's gonna win. That's what Dark's for. You know who's gonna win on Dark. But it's nice on Dynamite not 100% knowing who's gonna win. I also want to talk about the women's division. And I will agree, the women's division is the weakest part of the AEW roster. But it's not as weak as it used to be. When it first started, you had Riho as champion, and unlike a lot of people, I wasn't a big fan of Riho as champion. Partly because I just felt like her beating someone like Nyla Rose wasn't as realistic, and again, we didn't know much about either of the women. But now we have an awesome champion in Hikaru Shida who has built up support from the fans. And we have other people in the division who are making a name for themselves. When I saw Big Swole face Nyla Rose at AEW Dynamite in January, that match sucked. Couldn't care less about either of those women. And now I absolutely love Big Swole and Nyla Rose. I know about them and they're exciting me. Vicky Guerrero is going to be a great mouthpiece for Nyla Rose, even though I don't think Nyla needs a mouthpiece. It's going to be fun. And Big Swole is someone I want to see kick the shit out of Britt Baker. They're doing the best that they can with the women that they have. And right now, people are saying, well, they don't have big enough star power. Who could they sign that isn't currently signed? Every woman that you could claim would elevate their division in a major way is signed just because women's wrestling is a big deal and everyone who gains a little bit of support gets signed. I don't think AEW have the best women's division in wrestling. I think that's probably Impact or NXT. But they are building their own women's division out of almost nothing. All three of their champions were people that really no one knew about. And now are at least minor figures in the wrestling scene, if not getting to be medium or major figures. And that is freaking awesome. I think the best thing about AEW in the pandemic period is what they've done with the fans. And they have been copied by people like NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. But they have actually given their lower card and extra wrestlers to us as fans. And it has felt so awesome. It has felt like there's a crowd during the show. It hasn't felt like it's in a small arena. And they do have the luxury of being in the Daily's place, which I'm sure is excellent for everyone wrestling, because that seems like an awesome place to wrestle. But you have those fans getting excited. They don't seem very controlled. They seem like they are cheering and booing when it's needed, and it's giving the proper ambiance for me to care. I'm sure a lot of people are on the same board where it's hard to get into a wrestling match when there's just no excitement going on, because it just doesn't feel as important. And they were the first to really figure out how to make the crowd still feel like they are part of the action, even if it's not paid fans. Overall, I think other companies have really started to figure out the formula. I think Impact is finally starting to become relevant again. NXT is really starting to figure it out. And there have been glimpses of Raw and SmackDown. But overall, AEW has done the best job out of any wrestling promotion in the United States of figuring out how to still run shows during the pandemic period. And you can argue that no show should be running. I'm not going to argue that because I don't want to get too political right now. But if you're a wrestling fan, you can't help but appreciate what these wrestlers have been doing. And personally, AEW has been knocking it out of the park. Let me know what you think. What have you thought of the pandemic period right now? Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what type of video you want to see in the future. We will be doing some more booking videos. I'm going to try to get some more interviews. If there's some wrestlers that you'd like to see, or if you're a wrestler or even a fan and you want to be on my Tell Your Story series, let me know down in the comments down below or send me an email. And of course, have a great day.